agricultural adaptation in Africa. What practice?
So we can be the first one to respond to some of those questions, and then we can proceed with the others.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the interest also. To connect with my father here that mentioned local adaptation, especially regarding the food we eat and the multiplier implication of health. Actually, that is the main reason why, in our case, we are not a beggar nation in all ramifications, resource-wise and also even the science. So that's what we want to preach all Africans to be, that even in the science, we have the skills, we have the people, it's just how we package them to be able to first establish evidence that there's climate change, at which rate, the trend, and where it goes in terms of the scenario. And then look at local adaptive techniques. Climate smart agriculture. I will give an example. In Niger, southern Niger, they adopted, I mentioned it in one program, farmer managed natural regeneration practice. So what you need to do is to add some level of precision to his own local language. In Nigeria, southern Nigeria, more than 400 years ago, they used behavior of goats, animal, to make focus. Goat has magnetic feet, and when there is an approaching thunderstorm over 400 kilometers, it will feel it and they will run amok and they will be restless. So with that, I want us to look inward in all our actions, strategies in response to climate change. And in doing that, we will reduce the level of borrowing adoption, which is also not good for us and for our civilization. Thank you, Daddy, for this. We always want to also benefit from your experience. And maybe secondly, quickly to my sister, the younger generation. Actually, if you're going to do intervention, especially in a government institution, you have to look at the budget. So you do it in phases and you start it as a project. So the 120 are not even universities all. Some of them are colleges of education, polytechnics. So, but we started with a micro scheme within Abuja. We selected 10 secondary schools, built weather stations there, and then also established what is called climate vanguard group with their head teacher. So presently they are helping us. Abswers, we only have a few weather stations around Abuja, but presently we are having those 10 weather stations. So these pupils, students and their teachers are trained on weather monitoring. They are trained on climate change adaptation, mitigation actions, and we really, most of them, I can tell you, they are government school, and when we call them during debate, during our release of our civil economic contribution, they perform better even than the private schools. So with this, we are able to inculcate, first, to sensitize them, two, to also inculcate this idea of having to monitor what happens within your environment. And not only students, we've had a case of even Asian population in some parts of this country. Manually, they've been monitoring weather. So we came up with a project called Metagi, whereby we give them farmers rain gauge that monitors climate, and then they also report to us, and we give some incentives, so we include them in all our activities and programs. So I can say with some of this, and we want to now expand it, and we want other climate change council in Nigeria to see the beauty of some of this and integrate it in some of their actions and programs. But we are very open, especially with regards to providing any warning. We want to involve as much people as possible based on the UN Secretariat's statement that in the year 2027, all of us on this planet we should have access to early warning. And it has been confirmed that if you get early warning 24 hours before any climate-induced disaster, you're going to have a reduction in calamity casualty by more than 30%. So, and this is very good. So I can say we are starting in phases, and there is a lot of interest, and we're going to post most of this thing on our websites for any interested NGO, especially younger generation NGO, whether from schools or a group of individuals in communities. We can do a lot of climate change adaptation. Simple method. There is one method we adopted around Sahel parts of the country. They call it half moon. Half moon is just by creating a small heap of just a moonlight in the plot of land, and that now traps moisture and also traps sediment. So by doing that, you're increasing soil moisture and soil, and you're also increasing the fertility level, natural fertility level of the soils. So we need to teach all the younger generation mostly about this, and they will be able to carry the message across all layers of the society. But thank you for the interest. We can exchange numbers and emails so that we can continue to do more. Thank you very much.
Let me invite Dr. Caroline to respond to one of the questions that is very strategic around the experience Africa had around COVID-19 and how we're mapping that up to this kind of crisis that we are looking at.
The question was during COVID-19 crisis, most nations thought that Africa was likely to be wiped out. The following happened. We had less death, maybe due to our resilience and our own food plus managing COVID using local knowledge. Are we talking about climate change in health towards preventive health or curative health? The answer is both preventive and curative health. You agree with me that during COVID, Africa was able to cope better because we had to take some preventive measures. People were keeping themselves warm and doing other things. We will agree that Africa is also rich in its own way, nature-based solutions. Our forefathers planted trees. Looking at it from the curative aspect, even today, the malaria we are talking about, there's a lot of resistance in malaria. And quinine still remains a drug of choice when it doesn't go. You will be aware that the quinine tree is being grown here and we export it. And they go and formulate it and send it back to us. So we should go back to the local-based solutions. There are trees that are mosquito repellents. We should start planting those trees around our houses so that we can help the climate crisis. Preventively, we should be prepared for floods. That's why we are talking about health systems. When there's a flood, what do we do? When there's a drought, what do we do? When people are displaced, we just become hopeless because we don't put any measures in place. We should start our own local adaptation measures. You can start in your own little corner. So when we are talking about climate change and health, it's both preventive and curative. Thank you.
I just want to add to what Caroline just said. Now, we all know that 70% of the constitutive factors for climate change has to do with our human activities. So, meaning, if all of us here agree with the fact that yes, we know the things that we do that contribute to the environmental pollution, and we begin to initiate the change from our various homes, that's the first step, preventively. So, it is not when a situation has gone out of hand, we can look onto the government now for solution. You have got, as agents of change and as agents of climate change that we are here, to what extent are we carrying out, practicing those, avoiding those lifestyles that contribute to global greenhouse emissions? To what extent are we going in terms of how we dispose of our waste into the water and all that? That's one. So on the issue of the spread of COVID-19 as to the impact of Africa compared to the Western world, well, scientifically has been proven, but the argument is that because of our climatic environment, our weather here, we are more of our weather is more of our weather is hot than Europe, where you have more cold, and the coronavirus thrive more in colder region than in the hot region. So that also would explain. That is the argument around it, but it has not scientifically proven. But in law, I think we have also a lot to thank God for because of the natural habitat that we also occupy because of the lack of forests and all that we have also here. And so those are some of the issues, some of the things that also contribute. Now, in terms of whether we should engage engage in preventive or curative, there is no way you can do without both. Curatively, the health system needs to be strengthened. And how can it be strengthened? By building the capacity of the health workers in this effort. So that is some of the things we need to do, because at the end of the day, whatever happens, we're looking for hospitals, but they are flooding. It goes along with the communicable diseases that are spread, waterborne diseases are spread. When you're talking about flooding, a lot of people lose their lives, and you're trying to see how many people can be saved through the disaster, and then where do you want to take them to? How many healthcare facilities do we have that can actually cope with emergency situations? So those are things that are lacking. Quickly ahead, when there was a flood in New York, and they needed to evacuate a full hospital, the government evacuated a full hospital of all patients in thousands of lives. So if there are such disasters in this country or in Africa, do we have those facilities? That is why we advocate that yes, there's been a lot of talk shows, a lot of talking about it, there's so little that have been directed and targeted towards building upon the capacity of both institutions and the professionals working in the healthcare sector.
Yeah, so I want to answer I think the last person who mentioning the things that have to do with health and climate change. You mentioned pesticides or the chemicals that we're having in our soil, right? Is the food security. Yes, we can have plenty food that doesn't have enough nutrition. I'm going to add another factor to the population. Our population is increasing. We still need food, and then we need healthy food, not just food. We need food that gives us nutrition. And at the same time, population is increasing, and our animals are eating plenty food and emitting a lot of greenhouse gases. So how can we, in our little spaces, do something? Flooding can happen. In what way are you managing your waste? One way could be to separate your waste so it doesn't end up becoming one waste that our stock are now exposed to dangers, right? That could be one way that you can work on it. You can reduce the number of quantity of meat you eat so that we can have less amount of meat amount released into the air. So what I'm saying is that we may not have all the answers, but just know that we need to start thinking about these things, because it's not just about security, pesticide, so the population, we are giving back, we are having plenty of children, we still need to take care of the future generation. So there are so many tools and research we need to do. It's high time we start appreciating our indigenous knowledge. Those things that we think didn't matter but works for us. A lot of us go to Western education or go to church or go to mosque, but certain things happen. You go back to your village and stay ask your grandmother, how do we do it? So that means there is wisdom in our indigenous knowledge. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof, from CDI. That is a very fantastic way of capturing the reality of so many farmers, and I feel that falls under loss and damage when it comes to climate change and health. That is the reason why part of climate change and health challenges should come under loss and damage. And in mitigating that, you want to agree that as WHO is looking at health system strengthening as part of the attached program, this is where activities that address this issue can easily come on board. Because the truth is, this is a reality. Farmers are facing so many challenges, so many policy inconsistencies. So if you are looking at strengthening the health system, you must also put in view the realities of the farmer to assess better health care on account of climate change issues that we have little or nothing about to contribute. A lot of the climate change disaster that we face, we barely put anything. We are just and that is where loss and damage comes. The people who contribute more to climate change should pay for this services that farmers should benefit from. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I just want to take this time to thank our panelists and all of you for asking these questions. And I want to end up by saying that 90% of all African governments have now been able to develop their health national action plans, HNAPs, and within them, there is a lot of details around health mitigation, health adaptation, health financing, and even loss and damage. So I want to invite you to check. There's a lot of information therein for all, actually 90% of African governments have already been able to develop their health national action plans. Have a look, you will have more information around it. Number two, the health sector alone contributes more than 4% to the global greenhouse emissions. So that is something we're concerned about as we continue moving with this kind of conversation. Thank you so much. Philip, I want to honor this back to you, and thank you everyone for participating in this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benson, for moderating this powerful session. I know you need to get a photo. We are going to do our farming when we are healthy. And